All right, welcome to another broadcast. It is Friday, July the 11th, 2025. We made it, y'all, to the end of another week, and we getting ready to get things started here on this latest broadcast. Lots of things we're going to talk about, so we're going to give time for people to get on and get your seat and all of that, and let's go ahead and let's get it going, okay? All right. We're going to be talking about today, going over a recent video that I did. A recent video that we talked about where we're discovering and finding out some real solutions about some of the things that, you and I have been seeing on social media. Because like I said, again, we're not here to just talk about the bad things. We also want to look at what are the actual solutions to these things. So, yeah, we're going to touch on that. We're going to actually talk a little bit about weed, okay, and the impact of smoking weed. And yes, unfortunately, we're going to talk about this whole Essence Fest thing, as if that's the most important thing in the universe right now. We're going to also talk about what's going on in D.C. as far as like Pam Bondi and them trying to route her out because of the whole Jeff Epstein thing. And much, much more. Thank you again for tuning in. And my name is Dwayne. And if this is your first time here, I just want to personally welcome you and thank you for tuning in for this broadcast here. On these broadcasts, when we're doing news, if this is your first time, we take our time, and then we go through different news items, okay? So I don't, there are some videos that I do where I'll just talk about one particular topic, but there's these videos here, or these broadcasts are ones where I actually take my time and I'm actually going through some of these other stories so that you and we can get a much fuller context of what's going on and all of that. And at the end of the day, like I always say, here's the information. What you choose to do with it is up to you. I am not here to get you to agree with me. I'm not here to help you to, I guess, to think like me or to make up your mind. But we're just simply here to provide, just as a service, information, and that's it. But also to challenge you. And we're very, very, very big when it comes to making sure we're sticking to facts. Do we get it 100% right all the time? Of course not. Nobody does. But that is our aim, and and we aim for that all the time. So yeah, so that's what we do. But when we do talk about some of these events, the way we try to do it here is not just talking about it. Like, for example, everyone right now, a lot of people are talking about the Essence Festival, and oh my God, this is just the disaster of the ages right now, and oh my God, the amount of videos that are out right now, and I know you've seen them as well. It's like the more and more I sit back and I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, it's literally monkey see, monkey do. Just, when you go on YouTube, it's like, okay, I'm going to give my take. Okay, I'm going to get my take. Okay, I'm getting my take. Okay, I'm going to get my take. And that's all we're saying. And as you and I, as people, as we're scrolling, we're looking for that one person that we could say, you know what, I agree with that. Okay, next, that's it. But does anything ever change? I mean, you know what I mean? or we're just kind of looking for an agreement on something. And then when you look at the things that are being talked about even further, it's most of the time it's just bad, and it's just you're just left hanging there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that's a shame of what they did, and yeah, these people are wrong, and yeah. Anyway, let's talk about something else. And it's the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, man, I'm tired of that. You know what I'm saying? So here, what we try to do is we'll look at the things that are going on currently, but we try to put in there like, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we grow from this? How can we, if it's something bad, how can we not do the bad thing again? You know what I'm saying? So that's the perspective that we come with. So, you know, whoever that interests, great. If it don't interest you, that's fine too. But that's kind of the slant, if you will, that we have here. So anyway, I kind of give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about. Boy, listen, I don't know about y'all, but man, if you know, we've been telling people, we've been encouraging people to make sure you are investing at least bare minimum in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is exploding. I don't know if you guys have been following this or not. It's been exploding. Bitcoin, it was hovering for a little bit of time, like at 105,000, which is, well, I mean, once it broke that 100,000, it kind of like hovered a little bit. Right now, I'm looking at it right now. It's at 117,000. So if you got Bitcoin, I told my daughter a while back, I said, listen, if anything, you need to put some money to the side and just put it in Bitcoin. I told her a couple other things to put it in, but I said, definitely Bitcoin. That's your baseline. Make sure you put some money in it. Her money has grown exponentially. I mean, it's definitely has grown a whole lot. And so now she believes. I made her a believer. And so now I'm gonna move her to phase 2 and say, okay, now you need to look at some of these other things. And so it's so when I see these things, I'm like, wow, the biggest thing that's being talked about right now in the black space on social media is the Essence Festival, not Bitcoin. I'm like, for real? I mean, I'm even looking at XRP. XRP is almost at $3. You know what I mean? And there's a lot more. They said this is the time, and I was just reading something again recently. They said, you better buckle up because this is yet another wave that's about to hit, and it's going to make a lot of people well off. Let's just put it that way. So my advice to you, again, I'm not a licensed broker, not going to pretend to be, but my advice to you again is to make sure that you are at least looking in that direction. Okay. It's not hard. It's not difficult. There are plenty of videos on here. We've done videos on this in the past, just covering the basics. We even had someone come on and to explain it for us. Okay. Just the very basics. And again, I'm talking like cryptocurrencies, but also stocks too. You got some stocks too that are about to blow up. They are about to blow up, y'all. Okay. And I've told y'all, you can say whatever you want about Elon Musk. He racist and he's a South African and he this and that or whatever. But listen, that don't mean you can't make a little bit of coinage off of them too. Because Tesla is another one of those, I would say it's like a baseline stock. That's another one that's really going to explode, especially as this year progresses, when they start rolling out more and more of these robo taxis. You're going to see it going up, and up. Okay, so you better get on while you can still get on. NVIDIA, I talk about that all the time, and there's a few others out there too that I'm just saying at least establish a baseline. Okay, but it amazes me. I sit back, like I said again, these are things that we can do now. You know, the focus is so much on, we got to, make all of these nonsensical arguments about reparations and all that. And again, I've already shared my view on that. I'm not saying reparations is a bad thing, but I'm asking the question, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? There are things that you can actually do right now. and people are doing this and been doing it. Okay, so we are in yet another opportune situation for many people, to get on board, to do something with this, because again, it's going up. A lot of this stuff is going up, and then let's say you decide tomorrow to buy, and then all of a sudden it starts to go down. Your first reaction shouldn't be, see, I told you I shouldn't have listened to, I've done that for many times, but you don't sell. You just hold on. If you can hold on going to the same church for 50 years and giving offering and not getting anything back, you could certainly hold on, putting some coins in the stock market. Okay. You can certainly hold on for that. At least you're getting something back for that, So anyway, but I'll just say that, and that's it. So what you do with it is completely up to you. All right. So we're going to get into all those things today. Let me see. Hospital. I had a big laugh today. I was looking at a post I did. The last post I did, I was like, man, people ain't quiet on this one. Y'all been quiet lately. Y'all been pretty quiet on it. It's okay. We're gonna talk about it. Temperature in Arizona right now, I'm looking at 103 degrees. 103 degrees. That's pretty warm, but it was 118 the other day. So this is we're on the cool side today. We on the cool side today, okay? And so I wasn't going to go for my early day walk. And once I went out there, I was like, well, it's not that bad. It was like over 100 by that time, but it felt pretty good, But man, as the day progresses, oh yeah, it gets, it's a work. It's a work, man. It's a work. And yeah, the other day it was like, yep, I'm in Arizona. But yeah, like I said, Arizona is just one of these places, like in these hot months, I am not one to be like, I'm going exploring and we're just going to walk downtown Mesa and just kind of stroll a little bit. No, What's the destination? Okay. What is the destination? Let me get there. Okay. I went to one today, outdoor mall. I went to get something to drink. And, out here, one of the great things I like is they have those sprays, those outdoor sprays. And that really does make a difference. It makes a huge difference. And so it was actually not that bad. I mean, I was still trying to get to my car, but, it's really not that bad. So, yeah, it takes a special gift to live out here for real. But anyway, let's get into it. Yesterday, I don't know if you didn't have a chance, I really hope that you do take opportunity and watch this video that I did yesterday over on Sabbatry. It was actually a live. It's called Black Rage, What is Going On in the Mind? Now, I know that probably, the title itself isn't something that maybe not. People may not be, it may, whatever. I don't know what's going on. Okay. What are you beating up on black people about now? Whatever. Or it could be, I don't know. I really don't know. But what I am telling you is that what we discussed in here, I was so excited because we were actually able to go and look at exactly what's happening. When you see all of these videos on social media, when you see black folks who just snap off of the just the dumbest of stuff, I saw this video today. It came on my timeline. I don't even know what the heck happened. It was this girl. She was telling her story. Basically, her and her boyfriend, I should say, got in an argument, and next thing you know, he literally bit part of her lip off. Then I saw another one where it was a Facebook post and someone didn't like it. This 40-something-year-old man didn't like it. These all black folks now. He didn't like what this 13, 14-year-old had to say. He picked up in the car, took out in the woods, and basically ended her life over a Facebook post. And I could go on and on and on and on. So I keep seeing these things. And it's to the point, and this is what we were talking about in this video, where it's normalized. This kind of behavior for a lot of people, it's normalized. It's just kind of like, yeah, people can be like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, that's not normal. That's not normal. And I know for some people it's like, well, honey, listen, it's the devil. It's them demons. It's the demons coming in, or whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But I do know there is something going on that needs to be addressed. And we're able to look at it from a neurological, mental position and see exactly what's going on and what's lacking. Now, I did it on Sabbatry. This isn't about selling you some herbs or selling you, on, losing weight or whatever. Those things are just part of the problem, the part of the solution. The bigger part is you as an individual getting to a place where you recognize that there is things I have to do. I got to separate out of my life first, right? I mentioned yesterday, and I need to clean this up a little bit. I talked about stress in this video here. I'll just bring myself back up on the screen. We talk about stress, and because we talked about how stress is a big contributor to this, and like I said, the focus was specifically on Black Americans. It wasn't so much on. We understand that this trend can be seen in other groups, but we're taking this slice and saying, let's talk about Black folks. Okay, we're not saying they're the only ones or we're the only ones. We're just talking about Black folks, right? And so I wanted to talk about stress and the impact of it. And what I said was, and like I said, this is a slight tweak to myself. I said that what happens to your body, your body can actually store stress, right? It takes stress and it literally can store it within fat cells. Well, that's not 100% accurate. What really happens is that your body will, during stressful situations, your body will produce a chemical. It's called cortisol, all right? And cortisol will basically grow fat cells, right? And so a lot of times you'll see people actually have a more difficult time losing weight because of stress, because of this influx of cortisol that your body is producing because of the stressful situation that you're in. Now, let me just share with you just how crazy this is. I hope you're really listening to this. And I would say this is probably going to be one of the most important things I say in this entire broadcast. We have become so normalized. We have normalized this thing so much. You know how a lot, and I said this in a video yesterday, you know how, the trend is, you see, women, like, man, that girl thick, man, look at that thick girl. Man, look at her. She got them yams, bro. She got them yams and she thick. I like my women thick, and, so that has become, when we see a woman, like they say, curvy, we'll just go with the word curvy. Okay. It becomes something that is somewhat sexualized, not realizing that not in all of the cases, but in numbers of those cases where you see individuals that have on extra weight. And again, I'm just using that as an example because the same thing applies to men as well. That extra weight that you see, part of that is, for some of these women, is due to stress that's in their lives. And so instead of us looking at it as stress, we see it as something that is sexualized. We see it as something as an attractive feature, not realizing that, whoa, wait a minute, this is what stress is doing to our women. This is what stress is doing to our young girls. This is what stress is doing to our men. And you remember, there's a video that's out. I would look for it, but right now I got to move. There's an activist that's out here, and this is a Black woman, and she's literally out here saying that, and she's sizable. Okay. That ain't curvy. She's sizable. Okay. I'm not going to lie. Okay. And so, and she's saying, what she said she's basically trying to make the argument that, most diets are racist, which is why that, Black women have a difficult time losing weight. And I'm like, no, a diet ain't, just eat less. How about that? How about eat less? Okay. No, it's, and some diets, the way they're constructed, may not be the best for you, right? But as far as a diet saying, I'm not going to work with your body because I don't like Negroes, no diets are racist. But there is a huge factor that oftentimes get ignored, and that is stress. Where does stress come from? Now, some of you will hear this and automatically assume, well, yeah, man, it's the racism in society. The amount of racism that we're dealing with right now, oh, it's a doozy. It's just, that's what it is. Is racism something that's very real? Yes. Does it happen? Absolutely. Is racism at the level that we saw it, let's say 50 years ago? Hell no, it's not. So let's stop pretending. Okay. It's not nowhere near that level. Okay. But what is at an all-time high right now? Well, a lot of dysfunctionality in our homes, dysfunctionality that we see, within relationships. We got whole YouTube channels that are dedicated to calling each other out. Black men are calling out black women are calling out black men, and nobody is getting to the root cause of these things, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So in this video, we actually went through the different parts of the brain. What happens? Why is it that people there's this tendency a lot of times for people just to flip off, even at and automatically assume that you're attacking them personally. You see this a lot of times, even in comment sections, don't you? Well, there are things that take place in your brain that if it's not strengthened, you're going to always operate like that. And so in the video, we actually talk about that. We go through the process of what's going on, but we also talk about how to fix it, the things that you can do to fix it, the things you need to do. It's simply explained, but it's a combination of addressing this, but also separating the foolishness out of your life, and of course, also your diet. It's a combination of all of that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not something that's going to be popular because most people want to hear about problems. They want to hear about what's not going on and blah, 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 whine, complain. But we got to get off of that. I am very much invested in seeing people move away from that and get into a place where you're walking in wholeness and healthy. You understand what I'm saying? Rather, if you buy anything from what our store, Samba Tree or not, I don't care. I really don't. What I do care about is seeing people who have a long history of living in trauma, getting to a place where we're not living like that anymore. Aren't you tired of that? I mean, it's so bad. We got people, it's a whole genre of that. Look at, some of these different directors that are out here. Tyler Perry. He just comes out, he makes a mint off of trauma and tragedy. But yet the theaters stay packed, don't they? And so these are the things that we talk about. And like I said, we talk about different parts of the brain, the gray matter. We also talk about that prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe, the frontal part of your brain. The frontal part of your brain, very quickly, that's your executive center, right? This is your executive center. Your gray matter that's where your thoughts and stuff there are, okay? That's where they all take place there. If you are not challenging yourself, if you're not, like we talked about in the last video I did, you remember I talked about working with your least developed hand, dominant hand, least dominant hand. Like in my case, it's my left hand. If you are not actively every day doing something with your least dominant hand, to that degree, your gray matter is not as thick, okay? So you need to do things like that, right? Challenging yourself. Some of y'all old enough to remember watching your auntie and your uncle or your grandparents or even your parents sitting at the table for hours on end working on them puzzles. You remember that? And then they weren't on a cell phone. They weren't on an iPad either. They were on that table, on the coffee table, and got that 2,000 piece puzzle. Things like that. You are challenging your brain. And what's happening is when you do things like that, you are literally thickening the gray matter of your brain. And then that's one. And so when you are not being challenged, your brain is literally shrinking. And not only that, this area here, let me take you through the steps. So when you encounter something on social media, when you encounter something in life, what happens is if your amygdala, that's all the way here in the back here. Okay. That's the part of your brain that handles a lot of your emotions. What basically happens is you encounter something, right? That's very emotional, whatever it is. Name the story, right? You hear it and your amygdala is like, oh my God. It will react like that if it's not healthy. If your amygdala is inflamed or enlarged, you will automatically react haywire, right? And so what's supposed to happen is you encounter whatever the situation is, your amygdala first. Then that sends a signal to your prefrontal cortex area, right? This is the executive. So imagine you got the amygdala running down the hallway, going to the executive suite and saying, hey, oh my God, you see what they doing to us? Oh, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to do something about this. And so your prefrontal cortex is saying, hey, okay, I got you. Have a seat. Let's talk about it. Okay? Let's not jump to any conclusions yet, okay? Let's think about it. Let's think about the long-term effects here, okay? Before we do anything, let's think about this now. And then it's like, okay, all right. So, and then your prefrontal cortex is like, okay, let me walk you. Okay, so tell me the story again. Then while that's happening, it's actually thinking short-term and long-term decisions that you make based off of off of that information, right? And then you got the white matter as well. That plays a role, very important role as well. What we are finding out as we are looking into this deeper is that you got a lot of people who have inflamed or enlarged, amygdalas, but their executive suite, their prefrontal cortex area, it's almost like it's underdeveloped. And so what happens is it literally will almost bypass this area here, and it would immediately go to the motor functions of your brain, and you immediately will react based off of your emotions. Why? Because your amygdala is leading the charge. So when you see people just flip out, and we literally took 2 stories yesterday, I focused on one in particular, and I showed you, we were watching a video, I would stop and I explained to you, okay, this is what's happening now. All right, let me play it again. This is what's happening now. We were able to walk step by step and see this thing in motion, right? And then on top of that, we also discussed some of the solutions. What are the things you got to do? The stress. I just talked about that, ridding yourself of stress, right? Doing all that, folks. At first, doing all of that, right? Getting rid of that. But we talk more about that really than any kind of herbs or anything like that, because you do have herbs and stuff that can address that. But we're talking things, a lot of this I'm talking about is environmental, meaning your home, your friends, your family, whoever it is that you decide to associate with, those are the contributing factors, right? So anyway, watch the video. We go through a lot of detail. I'm not trying to redo the video right now, but I would really encourage you to watch that video. If anything else, if you got any time this weekend, please watch it. And so I was also going to touch on the weed as well. You know, there's a whole weed culture that's out here that's really encouraging people to smoke weed and all of that. Now, to be fair, there's really nothing too bad about weed. You know, it's a plant, so it's really nothing too bad about it. However, if you are someone who your prefrontal area is kind of not developed or it's weakened, your amygdala is inflamed, and you are under the age of like 22, 21, weed is a very dangerous thing. In fact, it will just make you a lot worse. You are more prone to react to just soon as someone does something, you immediately are reacting and ready to kill somebody. This is why we see all this activity going on in the streets and stuff today. So these are things that, family, we cannot just skip over and that's it. And but these are the things that we talk about here, okay? Because as we begin to understand these things, we also can come to a place where we can know how to fix it, okay? So that's what we focus on here. And I really do hope that you take some time and pay attention to that. But yeah, weed, I'm gonna do a separate video on weed and the impact that it has on your brain, because a lot of times people just associate weed with it just makes you relax and sleepy and all this other stuff. But if you have these other issues going on in your head, it's a terrible combination. It's a terrible combination. So we'll talk more about that. If you're not subscribed to that channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel over there on sombertree.com. In fact, speaking of Sombertree, I'll just mention this real quick, and then we'll move right on to the main topic that we're going to be talking about today. Over on sombertree.com, we do have a promo that's going on right now. This is our summer sale that's going on, 20% off. You can save right now. Right now, 20% off is going on right now. So if you're looking to save some coinage, this is a good time to do it. Go over to sombertree.com. We had many people asking about our own fragrance. This is a fragrance that was my wife actually put together, and this is one that she's had been selling for years. And then, I don't know what happened, but she just stopped selling it. But then we've had so many people asking about it. And the whole thought behind this for her was, the reason why my wife wanted to do this is because she got so tired of seeing these different perfumes out here, sin and rebellion and, one sin of witchcraft and, Babylon and, Beelzebub and, just all kind of demonic stuff. And she said, no, I want to do one that is different. I want to do one, and I want to call it life, because people need to be putting life on them and not all this demonic stuff on there. So there you go. So she came out with a perfume called Life, and it smells absolutely beautiful. It does. And yeah, I am saying that because that's my wife, and I love her very much. But I am saying it too because it does smell well. And sometimes my daughter will be playing with me. She'll go to Five Below and get one of these cheap perfumes. And then while I'm driving, she'll try to spray it on me. I get so mad at her, and she know I don't like that. But yeah, it don't smell like no teeny bopper Kool-Aid stuff. This smells really nice. She worked with some perfume people, some professional folks who got their own equipment, their own lab and all that. And she kept working on this until she got it right. And like I said, again, clearly it must be a good thing because a lot of people have been asking for it. But here we go. We got it now. And you can save 20% off too to boot. Also remember too, we got this here, the alternate day fasting. Again, I cannot say enough of this, why this is so important, because again, this deals with in part of the solution that we've been talking about, and that is dropping this weight. It's not just about weight, it's what's everything that's attached to it. And in this alternate day fasting, we've done videos on this already. And this is a video here you can click and watch. But please take the time and look into this. We had someone ask, they contacted us to say, hey, listen, I'm not in the States. Is this something I'll be able to do if I'm not in the United States? Absolutely, because this is something that will be online, okay? Online. And it's not just a one class, but you also will be brought into a community where there'll be ongoing support and encouragement and all kinds of stuff. You get all kind of things to make sure that change does in fact happen. Okay. But like I said, like anything else, there are just personal decisions you need to make too, to make this really work. Okay. That's with anything. Right. So anyway, make sure you check this out. Alternate day fasting. And then we got a lot of other stuff here too, that you can check out over on sombertree.com. Okay. All right. So there you go. So let's get into the main stuff that I wanted to discuss here. All right. Let me go over to, let's talk about the Essence Festival. Let's talk about the Essence Festival real quick. Man, I'm gonna tell you this I can't even begin to tell you. This came to my mind real quick. I'll just mention this real quick. And this has nothing to do with the Essence Festival. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna mention this real quick. But how many of y'all really tired of seeing these grown ass men out here? I'm talking about in the church world, Christian world here or whatever. I mean, everybody beefing with one another. I saw this one today. They bringing up old things about different ones and all that. And I'm like, man, this is the answer that y'all got? This is the answer. I mean, literally every time I turn around, there is some beef going on between one person and another and all this. And I'm like, is this all y'all got to offer in such a time as this? Is this all y'all got to offer? And I just was like, wow, I saw something today. I was like, and like I said, you can't just, it ain't the women, it ain't just the women, it's the men too. Sometimes the men are even worse. But it gets the clicks. It gets the clicks. I don't know. Anyway, Essence. Let's talk about this for a second. Now, I'm gonna tell you something about this, and I guess the reason why I was thinking this was because I saw so many people talking about this thing, this Essence Festival, and I'm sitting up here like, okay, now I'm familiar with it, never been to one, don't plan on going to one, but I'm very familiar with Essence. I mean, if you are a Black American, you know, you are at least familiar with Essence magazine. It's been around since, was it 68, 69, I believe. It's like right up there with Ebony and Jet magazine and all of that. And, you know, it's really something. It's really a part of the culture. You know what I mean? It really is. And I'm seeing tons of videos of people are just saying, "Oh my God, this is one of the worst." And the common thread I'm seeing with all of it is these dirty, stinking Africans. That's who it is. You know, it was okay until they had these Africans come in, and now they're taking away our culture. They're taking away our culture. They're taking it away from us. You know, it's the tethers that's doing that, right? Well, I want you to sit back, okay? I want you to sit back for those of you who are of that persuasion. I want to make sure you're sitting down because class is going to be in session, okay? Because I am going to actually take you through just a little bit of history. And some of it you may not be aware of because, like I said, again, this is the argument. This is the argument. And the people I'm listening to, they are making no difference at all. So don't come back to me. Don't come in the comment section and say, well, like someone tried to do recently. Well, see, you don't understand. See, the word tether, it only applies to a specific type of person. And when we talk, I'm like, okay, yeah. Like when y'all say that y'all smell like cheetah pee, that you talk about how African immigrants, all of them they don't wear shoes. You live in mud huts and all that. Yeah, a specific type of person. Y'all say that kind of stuff. You don't make any difference when you're talking about these people. None at all. In fact, they have become the convenient scapegoat. Have immigrants said some derogatory things about Black Americans? Absolutely. We talk about it a lot. All right. But I'm talking about this particular situation. All right, so let's go back. We're going to go through a little bit of history very quickly here on Essence. All right, let me just go through it real quick. So Essence magazine is started by two men, believe it or not. It's a women's magazine. And but it started by, and the reason why I'm kind of looking at that, because I'm like thinking like, wow, that is really something. But yeah, it's a women's magazine. And they might have some articles in there for men, but for the most part, Essence has always been associated with women. All right. And it was founded by two Black American men, Edward Lewis and Clarence O. Smith. One of them served as the president while the other served as the CEO. Smith served as the president until 2002. Okay. Now that was just the magazine that they were just mainly doing the magazine. I also remember them having Essence TV. That was like short lived. I remember that. Number two, Essence Festival started in 1995. So it was like a music festival and all of that. Then they had like little other things too. I believe the home was always New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. And by the way, just to say this off, this is just my own opinion. I know we got a lot of people down in New Orleans, but man, why New Orleans? I mean, and during the hot months at that, I'm like, man, y'all couldn't pick anywhere else. But I get it. I get the history. You want to say, I get it. I ain't mad at you. It's just, That's a lot of hot. And for the sisters out there, you got weave on top of that, and you in that all that humidity. I don't know how you do it, but y'all do it. And it's been working quite well. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just side comment. But anyway, it's been down there since 95. All right. So, what did I say? The president, Smith, he was served as a president until 2002. A woman by the name of Michelle Ebanks, she became the president and CEO of Essence Communication in 2005. And she stayed there in that position until March the 31st, 2020. Now, Michelle, Eubanks, she is a Black American. I'll check her background and all that. She's definitely a Black American, born, raised here, the whole nine. All right. Fast forward. Now we get to an individual a man by the name of Richard Lou Dennis. Okay. Richard Lou Dennis. He actually acquired Essence from Time, because Time magazine, I think, actually bought Essence out. And in January 2018, he served briefly as the interim CEO, but stepped aside amid internal investigations later in 2020. I forgot to look that up and see what exactly was going on with that, but something happened. Now, he was born in Liberia. All right, so when you would talk about tethers and, whatever, the immigrants, yeah, he definitely, he was born in Liberia. Now, I'm checking my memory here. I don't recall anybody complaining about the Essence festivals when he was in charge, but he was in charge. He was the man in charge at that time. So I said, but it continued to flourish. It continued to be the thing. Now, I'm thinking now 2020, this is around the whole COVID thing. So I'm sure there was some impact with that, right? In terms of attendance and all that. So, you could look that up or whatever, but it didn't have anything to do with him. It was definitely would have been a COVID situation. Okay, so after him, you have the current CEO and a woman by the name of Caroline Wanga, sorry. And she's over all of it, right? Essence. And she was born in Kenya. All right. So going back, when we start thinking about this, you started actually hearing some complaints about how this Essence Festival, how it was being ran. It actually started like in 2024, which was last year, right? That was when we first started hearing, people really start talking a little bit about some of the things they were doing and all that kind of stuff. But prior to that, Essence has for a good number of years was actually being operated by someone who is African, right? Was born in Liberia. Nobody really complained then, right? But I want to introduce you to somebody that I know for some of y'all who are my age, a little bit older, someone that I think the majority of people forgot about. And like I said, again, you may not even been a reader of Essence, but this individual here definitely was the face of the magazine. Susan Taylor. Susan Taylor. Okay, Susan Taylor. She was the face. She was like the editor. She was like the editor in chief of Essence from 81 to 2000. And they said here, American libraries referred to Taylor as the most influential Black woman in journalism today. Susan Taylor, even though she may have started in 81, you have to admit that she basically, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if Essence would be where it is today. I'm talking about, in terms of it being a staple in Black American homes. I don't even know if that would have happened if it was not for her. She definitely was the face of Essence magazine. She really helped to solidify the what Essence came to be within Black American homes. But when you go to the early life section, take a look. Where is she from? Taylor was born in Harlem neighborhood of New York City. Okay, yeah, that's right. She's Black American through and through. What? Wait a minute. To a Trinidadian mother and a father from St. Kitts. Now, according to FBA and everybody else in that bracket, she would qualify as being a what? Let's all say it together, a tether. Now, all of a sudden, she's a tether. But you and I both know that somebody is waiting in the wings and going to get ready to say something. Well, she ain't really a tether. See, but she understood the assignment and, so she really doesn't qualify as that. And, but my point is, you see how fluid this nonsense is? You accuse people of certain things, and then as long as they align with your worldview, then they're okay. But if they don't align with your worldview, then they're not okay. You see how nonsensical this is? So yes, you can say historically when it comes to Essence Magazine, in part, even though yes, Black Americans did establish and create this magazine, you can also credit people like Susan Taylor, which, like I said, again, she will go down in history as, one of those women, for real, that really put a mark. And I still give her very high regards because she was for those of you, and she's still alive. She ain't dead, but she was extremely classy woman. Extremely. I don't know her personally. Extremely classy woman. Extremely. Whatever this nonsense is now, that ain't her. But for her, extremely classy. But guess what? Her mother was from Trinidad and her father was from St. Kitts. So you see how sloppy this is. That's why I'm saying it's lazy when you hear people, using these dumb arguments and wanting to cast all people from different lands as being the enemy, so to speak, or whatever. But we have to be honest and look at the details, which a lot of people unfortunately isn't. Now, when it gets to this festival, on top of that, right, there's a whole lot of issues that seem like there's going on. And the things that I've been hearing, it sounds more like a lot of managerial stuff that's going on, that goes beyond just merely, those Africans are doing stuff. It sounds like there's a little bit more things going on there, a lot of mismanagement and some other things. The last story I'm going to give you is going to relate to this. Okay. So that's why I want you to hang on with me on this. So it sounds like there's a lot of craziness that's going on in it, which it unfortunately is not surprising. It's not surprising at all. But to minimize this as just being when they took over, it all went to pot. No, they've been in charge for numbers of years and you weren't complaining. Okay. Until recently. Well, what are some of the factors? Okay. This is some of the things I mentioned in my post, but I'll just mention some of them here. Right. Oh, by the way, you can actually go to this video here. I'm not going to play it because it's on the Breakfast Club, and I would play some excerpts of it, but I've gotten in trouble with that before. But here's a video right here that I would encourage you to listen to. This video was done 7 years ago, and it does feature Richard Lou Dennis and Michelle Ebanks, and they're for half an hour. They're talking about the Essence Fest. They're talking about Black women in business and all of that. The parts that I did here, it was very encouraging. At least what they were trying to do. And they were really talking about, focusing on reinvesting in Black women, reinvesting in the Black community and all of that. They very specific. Again, this is Richie Lou right here, Liberian born, but what I heard coming out of his mouth, I think most people would agree. And if you go through the comment section here, most people were riding with him on that. But fast forward to today, he would be persona non grata, simply because of where he was born. So anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. You can check that out at your leisure. Where is that one I wanted to point to here? Hold on. Oh, couple of factors here. One of the things I mentioned in my post was this. I said, you got to look at what are some of the things that are going on in in the economy? Because the attendance, when you hear a lot of people talking about, oh, the attendance was low, well, keep in mind that a lot of people, significant number of people, and again, everything I'm saying, I've looked into this, okay? I've took a lot of time to look into this. A good percentage of people who attend these events, the Essence events, a good percentage of them actually purchase their tickets months in advance. Okay, so when you see low numbers, when you saw these low numbers, a lot of people was talking about that wasn't a result of, oh, it's the Africans, they got there and they saw Africans were in charge and then they left. No. The early people that normally buy tickets, it just wasn't as high as it normally is. Okay, and a lot of people aren't pointing this out. This is the economy. And you remember I pointed out, I said, we did a video on this. We talked about what's going on right now is particularly with black women. Black women are, in fact, a lot of them are getting hit with unemployment. All right. Black women in the U.S. experience disproportionate economic hardship due to a combination of occupational segregation, gender and racial discrimination, systemic barriers, blah, blah, blah. All right. These are overrepresented in lower paying jobs and underrepresented in higher paying roles, leading to persistent wage gaps. Recent data indicates a rise in unemployment rates for black women, with significant job losses in April of 2025. But nobody was bringing this up. So you got the economy, that is definitely a factor. Okay? But because a lot of people don't really go into the details of talking about economic stuff, it's a lot easier and, quite frankly, a lot lazier just to blame somebody. All right. So you got the economy going on. And I would say there's other factors too. Okay. Now, to give you kind of an idea of what I think those other factors are, I'm going to get to the final part of our broadcast here. Now, this is a post that I posted today, and I told you I really was laughing about this because I saw it wasn't nobody really, it didn't say nobody was checking for it, but truth is truth. And we're going to keep on with it. And as soon as I can pull it up for you. And this was something, I was reading something earlier today and I was like, oh, you know what? I actually remember this. I remember this because we moved out to California. It was on the tail end of this stuff. And, but I remember it, people was talking about this. So let me read for you what I posted. And yes, it is tied to this whole Essence thing and what I suspect is going on. Okay. Let me get this up here on the screen and let's go through it real quick. I promise you it'll go by real quick. Let's see. One of the things you'll always hear us say is over in Tree is that you are okay. Skip. I don't have to read all of that. I'll start here. Longtime followers of this channel should know that by now we do not shy away from any topic. That includes choosing to learn from our past mistakes. Today, let's not forget the Martin Luther King Jr. Drew Medical Center. According to the New York Times, this was a hospital built for blacks and run by blacks. And yeah, I have the article right here. A symbol of racial movement, a public hospital built for blacks and run by blacks. Okay. That's according to them. Since you need Mr. Charlie to vouch for me. There you go. All right. According to the New York Times. Okay. I said that. I said, so for all the FBA members out there already looking for an out on what happened to this hospital, you won't find one. This is Black American history. So let's learn from it. Okay. I said, this hospital was built in 1971 after the Watts riots. It was a grainy. I don't know what that was supposed to be. Basically, it was an attempt by the state to try to rebuild trust between the Black American community and local government. What better way to do that than to build a facility whose purpose is to provide care for locals? In fact, they went a step further. They was to be a hospital completely run by Black Americans. Now, unfortunately, after a short amount of time, the results of this belief that you can just grab any group of black folks together and expect them to expand on something positive, it began to show up. And I said the complaints fell into three broad categories: patient safety, mismanagement, and training quality. You cannot blame anything else on anybody else. So that little part of you, that little earworm that's already twitching and trying to say, well, they didn't fund it and all this stuff. Sit down. We're going to learn from this, okay? But this is our history. Here's some of the things that was going on. Patient safety violations starting in the late 1980s and escalating through 1990 to 2000. Investigations revealed a pattern of preventable deaths, injuries, and serious errors. What are some of the notable incidents? Wrong medications administered, some fatal. Delays in care for critical patients, improper use of medical equipment, lapses in monitoring patients, leading to avoidable deterioration or death. The hospital's trauma center accreditation was revoked in 2004 after inspections revealed that the unit no longer met minimum standards of care. Let's continue on. Chronic mismanagement. The Los Angeles County Department of Health Services struggled to maintain adequate leadership, oversight, and staff accountability at the hospital. Built for blacks, managed by blacks. Remember, black Americans. Whistleblower complaints and audits pointed to nepotism. Oh, we see that a lot, don't we? And hiring unqualified staff. Resistance to disciplinary action against underperforming employees due to fear of discrimination, lawsuits, or union pushback. Inadequate performance reviews and retraining for poorly performing personnel. Audits found that policies and procedures were either ignored or inconsistently applied. Number 3, failing residency program. Because it was also a teaching hospital affiliated with Charles R. Drew University, the hospital came under scrutiny for failing to train residents adequately. Residents were overworked and sometimes supervised by unqualified or inattentive senior staff. The Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education withdrew its approval of several residency programs in 2006, citing poor quality. And it goes on. It says the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services threatened to withdraw funding multiple times. Found the hospital out of compliance with basic safety standards. Numerous licensure violations, and they eventually chose to close it. Now they reopened it now, but it's like under new management. So usually when that happens, that means Mr. Charlie's in charge now. So yeah, so this is what happened. Now we're gonna be mature about this, okay? Because there are people who will read this or listen to this, and you will automatically conclude, see, you beating up on black folks. Anybody that reacts like that, what that says to me is that you're not used to self-care. You're not used to self-checking. You're not used to that. So anytime somebody is doing that, you assume that somebody is trying to bury you and trying to beat you up. That's not what's happening here. You're in friendly ground here. This is friendly space, but we're encouraging each other. Hey, let's take this and learn from it. Okay? And so anyway, here you got this hospital ran by black Americans now. All right? Because guess what? If this hospital was top tier, you would see all these people who call themselves FBA, who are part of that world, they would automatically be, yep, that's right. That's our hospital. We built that, right? But as soon as I posted that, all of a sudden now people got quiet. It got quiet. And I sat back, I was like, this is it right here. This space really isn't about solution. It really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, I try to make it to be, but ultimately there are numbers of people who aren't really interested in it. They're not really interested in building any kind of real solutions, not on social media anyway. But anyway, here we go. So I've already explained to you what happened to that, right? This whole hospital situation, right? Now, how does this relate to, what's going on in essence? Listen, it just goes all the way back to what we talked about in the beginning of this broadcast. And that is, it starts here. This inner trauma that unfortunately in this thing that we call Black culture, we have made it into something that is normalized. There is no way in hell, Middle Earth, heaven, outer space, Pluto, whatever, you can get a group of people together, I don't care who they are, who are still dealing with inner trauma and think that they can run a trauma center. There's no way in the world. There's absolutely no way in the world that's even possible. It's not possible. So a lot of times when in passing, we'll see Black businesses or whatever rise and fall or whatever. And what's the typical reaction when we see them fall? What's the typical reaction we see when it's a Black business or something, when Black folks get together and do something and they quickly, whatever reason, there's foolishness that happens or what? See, Black folks, we can't get together and we can't do anything. Blah, blah, blah. We always, a lot of times people will pivot to that. And what I am saying to you is a lot of times when people say that, what they are actually doing with their mouth and even inside is that they are accepting the narrative that somehow Black folks are born deficient in being able to build anything. And what I'm telling you is that's a complete lie. That is not it at all. When you are born with everything that you need. Okay? So you are not born deficient. This is something that we reinforce over and over and over and over and over again. We always say that. That's why it pisses me off when I get people sometimes that come around here and they'll just hear one little part and automatically, oh, you're beating up on Black folks. And I'm like, no, you got to listen to the whole story. Sit down or get out of here. And so, no, it's not that. What you're dealing with is there is an enormous amount of trauma that a lot of Black folks are dealing with, and to the point where we have normalized it. Earlier in the broadcast, I talked about we looking at, people and they're like, yeah, they look thick. I like these thick girls or whatever, not realizing. And here's the thing. This is how crazy this is. Remember I talked about the whole thick girl thing. And again, I'm not saying every Black woman that's sizable, that means they're dealing with a lot of stress. I'm not saying that, but many of them are. And again, I'm saying women, but it's also applicable to men as well. We're just talking about women here, for example, right? Because there seems to be more attention to them. So we'll talk about them, right? Again, going back, if you missed what I said earlier, what happens is when you are an individual that is constantly dealing with stress, be it in your personal life, whatever, at work or whatever, your body is generating a huge amount of cortisol. Cortisol is basically a chemical that your body generates. It helps you to stay focused, among other things, right? But also, if you're generating way too much of it, it will also generate fat cells. Okay? That's when it makes it more difficult for you to lose weight. All right? So in what we call Black culture, we look at this, we're looking at all these individuals that are thick and we glamorize it as if it's some kind of sexual thing. But the crazy thing about it is, in numbers of these cases, that's not just curvy, that's stress that you're looking at. And it even goes even further in that. You got women who want that look. We made it fashionable. We made stress fashionable. Let me say it again. We have made stress fashionable. You got people who will get in a plane. They will fly down to South America, get some whatever chemicals pumped up in their behind, and be in so much pain, they got to stand up in the airplane, come all the way back here, and now all of a sudden, yeah, look at what I got here. You want to mimic a look that oftentimes is shaped and formed by stress. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you? Stress. And to prove my point even further, because you may think, well, Dwayne, you really going off the rock. You going way off here. Well, how crazy does this sound? We've taken a word, the nigger word, and we said, well, that was a word that they meant to be derogatory, but now it's a colloquial term. That means nigga means, hey, you're my friend and you're my brother. Or look at the food that we eat, the tradition, things that have been part of our traditional plate, some of the things like pig feet and things like that. And I know all black folks don't eat that, but you understand what I'm saying? It is a traditional part of the plate, right? Some of these things, these things were bad. These were bad things. Unfortunately, that's all we were given. Oftentimes we had to do what we had to do, but still it was bad. Now it's a delicacy. So we're doing that with food, and we're doing that with our words. We're taking words. Hey, that's my B. That's my hoe over there. That's my such and such. Then my nigga, you this or that or whatever. We take words that are derogatory and we think that we're somehow empowering ourselves by using this negativity, and we're making it into a cultural thing, right? And so what I'm introducing to you is we're taking stress and we're doing the same thing. So when you get a group of people together and you think that somehow that are dealing with these things, and you think somehow they can run a festival, they can run a hospital or whatever, and you expecting this thing to grow and blow up and get better and big and all that stuff, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not. Look at the call centers. A lot of times, hey, we've been real. Sometimes you get on it, you call whatever it is, the cable company or whatever, and you trying to set up a payment arrangement. And as soon as you hear, hey, how you doing? You hear that voice, and that voice sound like a black woman. What do a lot of you do? And let's be honest, let's be 100%. If you hear, and it's one of those days you're like, listen, I just ain't got time for it. You hear, so you hear who you think you hear, right? And as soon as you hear it click, that's it. I'm going to be 100, and y'all can be quiet all you want, but I'm going to talk, okay? There's two groups of people a lot of times folk will hang up on. Is Indian folk, okay? If I can't understand you, click, or, okay, you're going to click. I don't have time for it. Because what's happening? You're bringing on that stress. And you can't even run a city. We think we can run a city on that. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now? They're looking at mountains of trash all throughout that city. And the woman, the mayor, she said, listen, I don't care if I'm a one-term president. I don't care. I ain't doing nothing about this. Okay. Meantime, what's happening? You got all of this trash that's building up more and more and more all throughout the city. What is that bringing? Flies. That's bringing maggots. That's bringing disease. Listen, you're going to have to do something, okay? Swallow some pride. Do whatever. Humble pie. Swallow pride. Eat some humble pie. Okay, I know that rhymes. So let's put that together and get this trash up out of here, okay? And then let's figure that out on the flip. But right now you are creating a biohazard because of some trauma in your own life that you can't deal with, and everyone expects you to run a city. You understand what I'm saying? And we take the same trauma. Why do you think churches are failing left and right? Because they're ran by people who got trauma in their lives. You understand what I'm saying? And stress, you just pass it on, and it's your cultural buddy. A lot of times you got a significant number of people, a lot of these novels and stuff out here full of trauma. It's a delicacy. It's something that, oh, we just like this. Oh, this tastes so good. And then you turn on the radio. Who you listening to? Trauma radio, trauma music. What is it talking about? How this man ain't worth blank. How this woman ain't out here like this. And I'm going to live my life tonight. Trauma. So you keep feeding it, keep spoon feeding it over and over and over and over again. And then you expect something like a platform like Essence Festival to be off without a hitch and just be the best thing. No. What you're seeing, what you're witnessing right now is the untreated trauma has gotten so bad to now it's spilling over and even into the world that we call entertainment now. So you can't even go to something that is designed to be nice and pleasant and fun and relaxing. You're not going to be able to go to it now because guess what? The root issue, it ain't because the Africans are running it or the tethers are running it. It's because you got you cannot have a bunch of people that got these issues that are going on and think that somehow it's all just gonna come together. It's not. It isn't. And people take these same attitudes and they think that they can get into a business. I have seen this happen and play out for years, y'all. I've seen this. I'm telling you this as an entrepreneur that's been in this for how long? We've been doing this over 20 years, if not more. I could tell you firsthand. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen black men, black women over the years who come into entrepreneurship. They're excited, they're gung-ho about it or whatever, but because of unresolved things they got going on in their own lives, what happens is they don't know how to separate the two, and they end up bringing that into the business, and the business suffers because of it. And then when the business suffers, then all of a sudden everybody else out there, see, I told you, they ain't worth you know what. This is what we're focused on this platform. Okay, so we got Samba Journeys is what we talk about, news and things like that. Then we have Samba Tree that's where we get more into the practical stuff and we're providing some tangible solutions. That's where we talk about different plants and herbs and, different things like that you could take on a practical scale, right? So this is why we encourage you, we talk about the problems, but here are some practical solutions, some things that you can be doing right now. And that's what we're all about here on this platform. So it's your choice. See, for me, I've gotten to the place right now where I feel very free. I do. I don't feel obligated that I got to comment on every last thing that's out here now. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I get on here when I feel like it. When I don't feel like it, I ain't going to do it. It's way too many people out here talking. Our choice here is we'll address some of these issues, but we want to address it from a perspective on what can we do to learn and grow from it and ultimately be healed. That's what we want. And that's what we're committed to. So that is all I have. Ain't really nothing more I can say on that, but I hope you guys got something out of this broadcast. Let's see. So yeah, it's going to be, hopefully it'll be a great weekend. Make sure you take things we're saying here to heart. Go back into that video two videos. Again, the video I just did on yesterday over on Samba Tree about, Black Rage. Really need to watch that. And also the last one I did on this platform, which is the history of how these people basically forced us to use our right hand and what that did and the connection to our brains and why this system, starting with religion, then in the educational system, they used to literally in schools used to tie people's left hand to the desk. They would also take a wooden ruler and beat people across the knuckles, basically telling them you better not write with your left hand. And we tell you solutions on how you need to be writing with both. You need to start learning how to start writing with both hands and what that does to your brain and the impact it can really have in real life in your life. Okay. We talk about a lot of stuff here, so I do hope you take the time and go through it, okay? So thank you again for tuning in, you guys, to this broadcast. Listen, you guys take care, and I will be seeing you again soon, all right? You guys take care, and I'll see you next time.